Can start.
Yeah, so I have a wager going on.
Mhm.
What is the best pizza? I
Okay.
personally believe that Pizza Hut is the best pizza ever. What do you think?
Little Caesars or Domino's. There's a lot of factors there.
Okay, interesting choice that you said Little Caesars.
Mhm.
I prefer Pizza Hut. Like literally, you can't out Pizza the Hut. What do y'all think?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
We need to decide this.
Now, well, or whenever.
Well, we'll see. Also, if you have any extension questions while we're still getting ready for the webinar, let us know. Go ahead and post them in the comments, and we can review those. We'll have a little Q&A session later. So
yeah, we can't wait to review your questions and learn more about the extension forms with you guys.
all right, we'll give it about a little minute or two. We're about to get started shortly. We'll be starting at 10:30 promptly. Just waiting on anybody else coming in.
Welcome to today's webinar, Business Tax Extensions, Deadlines, Extension Period, Filing Requirements, and Common Mistakes.
My name is William Binkley. I'm a Tax Bandit Support Specialist.
And my name is Desmond Morrison, and I'm also a Tax Bandit Support Specialist.
We'll be your host for the webinar today, and we'll go ahead and get started with these extension forms.
Yes. So today we're going to explore the following topics, provide an overview of the extension forms, any applicable forms for these extensions and their corresponding deadlines, electronic postmarks, and the IRS perfection period, and avoiding common mistakes.
Getting started, just an overview of the extension forms. This isn't necessarily like just filing your form. This is a form that you can use to request the extension of a deadline for specific things. It could be filing your forms. It could even be recipient distribution. There's different extensions for different things, and we'll go a little more in depth with that. From the slides here, you can even see we've got a few examples listed, like the 7004, the 8809, the 4868, and the 15397.
So Will, would I be able to extend the time that I need to pay any tax liabilities alongside the filing of my forms?
With these forms, not typically. A lot of these are mainly related to just the filing of the form itself, or the action of distributing the recipient copies of these forms.
Gotcha.
It's not really tied to extending the payment. that will still
Understood.
be due by the deadline, or if there's any specific circumstances with those forms,
Gotcha.
by whatever that deadline is.
Mm. All right, so the first extension that we're going to dive into is the IRS Form 7004 form, which is the application for automatic extension of time to file certain business income tax information or other applicable returns.
The form is mainly used by businesses and entities, and this is for a lot of just the income tax returns associated with those companies.
Mhm.
Again, not an extension on paying the taxes, just more so an extension on filing the forms before their deadline.
Okay.
And I make the distinction of before their deadline because these extension forms can be used to extend specific forms, but those forms may not all have the same deadline. So,
Yes.
for example, we've listed the forms here for what the 7004 can cover. There's a lot more than what's listed, but we've got the 1042, which is the most recent upcoming deadline that's happening, but also the 8612, 1041, just a lot more. And as you can see, a lot of their deadlines are different. For example, the March 16th deadline for 1042, 1120 is April 15th, 2026. And again, a lot of these are just different forms that this extension covers.
Yes.
And you'll select that as you're like doing the extension. It's got a section where you can choose the form that you're trying to extend the deadline for.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's a specific timeline as well. Not every extension grants the same amount of time. For example, this is for like the 6 months.
Yes, yes. So for the 7004 form, it will guarantee a extension up to 6 months. So the deadlines that you see here, you'll just need to file the 7004 form by the listed deadline under the specific form, and then the IRS will grant you 6 months from that specific deadline. Yeah, and then on the form itself, if you want to take a look at all the applicable forms, you can just pull up a PDF of that extension form and it'll provide a full list.
Let's see. It looks like we've got a question already.
Yes.
Is the 1120S able to be filed through tax bandits or only the extension filing?
That is a great question. So on Tax Bandits, we do not support the 1120S. However, you can file just the extension form with us.
Moving forward, we've got the 8809. This is the application for extension of time to file information returns, and it's used for a 30-day extension. So with this, you are pretty much extending the time to file specific returns. So that include things like the 1042S, 1099s, W-2s, anything that really has like a recipient copy that would be distributed. This is just for the actual filing of the form. We've got those forms listed here as well.
Yes. Yeah, so the 8809 covers a plethora of forms such as the W-2, the 1042S, like Will just explained, that even certain forms like the 3921 and the 3922, and a plethora of other informational returns.
A big thing with this also is, again, it's just for the filing of these forms, not for the distribution to the recipients. And with these forms, the biggest thing is filing it before the deadline or by the deadline. Some of the forms will have different deadlines, like the 1099 NEC versus a 1099 miscellaneous, or a 1099 DIV for dividends. W-2s, a lot of these forms are due at the end of January, but some of these forms may also be due in February, March. And so it's important to know when these deadlines are so you can make sure that you plan if you need an extension to file before their deadline, their filing deadline.
Yes. And it's also important to remember certain nuances depending on the form that you're trying to extend. For example, with the W-2 and the 1099 NEC, you can paper file the 8809 form for those specific returns, while any other forms, you can e-file an extension to extend the deadline. And also, you may be able to file a second 8809 form, such as with the ACA forms. You can file a first one electronically, and then the second 8809 should be paper filed. And yeah, here are some key details, some due dates regarding the applicable forms for the 8809. Starting off, we have the W-2 and the 1099 NEC. The original deadline to file this form is February 2nd of 2026, which has now passed. And if you already filed one before on time, your extended deadline will be March 4th of 2026.
You got the other deadlines posted below, like 1042S, for example. And a lot of these deadlines, it's important to look at the dates as well. A lot of these have very general deadlines. For example, 1042S, that's typically March 15th.
Yes.
But if anything falls on if the deadlines fall on a weekend or a holiday, like federal holiday, it could extend the deadline to another date shortly after that. Another thing to consider maybe also would be like any disastrous weather.
Yes.
Because sometimes the IRS will automatically extend certain form filings depending on where you are and any natural disasters that might have happened or any other kind of events that could be causing interruption to filing.
Yeah, so if you want to stay notified of any possible extensions regarding like any natural disasters, feel free to check out the IRS website. They usually have some type of correspondence letting you know if there will be an extension given in your specific area regarding any natural disasters. So stay tuned.
Next form we'll discuss is the 4868. This is used by individuals to request an automatic 6-month extension for filing. This is mainly for personal income tax returns. So whether you're employed, self-employed, or filing jointly with a spouse, you can request extra time.
Gotcha. So the 7004 form extends business taxes while the 4868 form extend personal taxes.
Correct.
But up to 6 months for both of them, right? Yeah. Awesome.
With the income tax, typically that's going to be the 1040, but there are a few other forms associated. For example, like 1040 NR for non-residents, 1040 PR, SS, SR. So those are just a few examples of the income tax returns that can be extended with the 4868. You ever had to file an extension?
I have not had the pleasure to file an extension. However, I do know other CPAs who have filed extensions for their clients or the businesses that they work with. And sometimes they even just go ahead and file the extension just as like a safety measure. It doesn't affect your IRS standing, and most of these extensions are automatic. So it's just good to be on the safe side.
Yeah, the good thing, the automatic, that's a good point. As soon as it's approved by the IRS, like the extension is just there.
Right.
Once you get the form and you've filed it, you've got proof of acceptance, that'll show like there's nothing really else that comes with that.
No, yeah, there's no further action. Once you get that acceptance from the IRS, you can just
filing.
Right. Other than filing, and also make sure you make that payment towards your tax payment.
Yep.
But yeah, other than the initial acceptance, there's no further action needed from you. Of course, it may differ in special cases, but overall.
Next is the form 15397. This is one of those special ones where it's not necessarily the filing of the form, but rather the extension of the recipient copy deadline. Specific forms will have recipient copies, and those must be distributed within a certain amount of time. Or by a specific day, I should say. And whether it's postal mail or like on online access link, it must be distributed to the recipient by that date.
Yes.
This extension will give you time to get those copies out in case there's anything going on. And this one's also just a 30-day extension. So with that, that'll cover pretty much like a lot of the forms that you saw with the 8809. So 1042S, 1095B and C, 1099s, W-2s. A lot of those will have recipient deadlines where, well, all of them will have recipient deadlines, but the filing deadline might be different from the recipient deadline. Sometimes you've got to get the form out sooner, but you can file it later, things like that.
Yeah, so it's really important to know which forms have recipient deadlines, which forms only have e-filing deadlines, and just making sure that you know that you need to file this form if you need to on this certain date for this particular form.
Next, we'll get into the electronic postmarks, and this is a very important thing to consider. A lot of times you'll hear about postmarks if you're distributing forms to somebody or to their recipients, having forms postmarked by a specific date for like postal mail, having a physical postmark to show that you did distribute it on time. An electronic postmark works very similarly in that if you are filing the form, if there's any kind of delay with the IRS, maybe something happened and they shut down, they know that you filed your form on time. And it's just to say that it was filed at this time, in this time zone, like just to make sure that you got the form in and submitted on time. And this is especially important for cases like if a form is rejected for any reason. We'll get a little bit into that later with the perfection period, but if there's any, like I said, delays in processing, you're in a different time zone, the extension form itself is rejected. The electronic postmark is there to ensure that the IRS knows that you submitted it on time. If anything happens with their system, or if you're using the program and there's like a delay with that system getting it sent to the IRS, you've at least got that stamp saying, I did it at 11:59 that night.
Yes, it's very important to have that postmark on hand to make sure that postmark is before on the deadline, just to prove to the IRS, like, hey, I filed. I gave this form to my recipient
59
on the dot
on the second.
So, Will, you mentioned the perfection period. What is the perfection period? How would you explain it to someone who never even heard of like the IRS or like these types of forms?
So I would say the perfection period is if your form is rejected, you didn't perfect it the first time. This gives you the chance to actually correct that and make sure that you get it in on time. So that way, something can happen. Maybe something wasn't filled out properly. You didn't put the right name or the right TIN number. And the IRS was like, wait a minute, that does not match our records. This will let you correct that and resend it and still be considered on time because you at least submitted it the first time and you've got that electronic postmark. And this way you can still get the acceptance for what you filed.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really smart, especially like most of these extension forms don't have like any correction forms. If the IRS do determine that there were some errors on your extension, you are given a specific amount of time, depending on the extension form, of course. Usually it could be up to 5 days, maybe 10 days, depending on the form, to make sure that all the information that you submitted is correct, updated to the IRS, just for a timely, streamlined filing for your original form.
With that, talking about rejections and things that could happen with the form, there's a few common mistakes. For example, like waiting till the last minute, we can avoid that. If you know that you're going to need more time to file a specific form, or you know that you're not going to be able to distribute specific forms to their recipients on time, you want to get that in as soon as possible. You don't want to wait till the last minute, really, especially like if something were to happen, filing or even just filing for the extension. And you want to get that in as soon as you know, like, even if there's like a slight doubt in your head, like maybe probably best to file.
Like it's best to be safe than sorry, And
like you said, that's a common thing with CPAs. Anybody who's filing taxes on behalf of other people, a lot of times they'll go ahead and file the extensions just in case there's any issues with communication. People aren't getting you your information on time. That happens quite a lot.
So the IRS is providing you this form, so it's important to use every possible resource that you can get. Yeah.
You want to ensure that you're filing the correct extension.
Mhm.
As we've gone over various different forms and we've seen how many forms, like everything that was pictured is not like all it is not all of the forms that are included in the extensions. That
Mhm.
7004 has a lot more
Mhm.
that were not listed in that original table, but you want to make sure that you're filing for the correct thing. Um, 8809.
Yes.
Remember, that one is the extension for filing those information returns like
Mhm.
W-2 and 1099. 15397, that one is for the distribution of the recipient copy.
Mhm.
Very two different things, and there can be different penalties if those are done late. So it's important to know which one you're filing and for which forms you're filing it for.
Yes. And also, if you need to extend like the state deadline, make sure you know that that is a separate
That's a good
form.
point.
The 8809 only applies to the federal submission. So it will only extend the IRS deadline. So make sure if you need to file any state deadline, state extensions, make sure you know which state is accepting these extensions, what form, all those nuanced details as well.
Especially if you need to like paper file or e-file, because some
Yes.
states will do one or the other.
Hmm. Yeah.
Another important thing is to make sure that the information is correct. If there's anything that doesn't match with the IRS records, that could cause a rejection with the form. And so, for example, a common thing is TIN and name combinations.
Hmm.
If you're filing for a company, making sure that you're using like the legal name rather than a DBA name, or making sure that if you have recently been married or had any kind of name change that could have happened that could affect your personal income tax return,
Hmm.
that you have all of the documentation and information done properly to get that updated. Because that if that's not been updated and it's not solidified with the IRS, that could be something that causes a rejection.
Yeah.
Like I said, DBA names. If you've got Desmond, but he's filing as Desmond LLC as a DBA name,
Hmm.
that could cause an issue if he just puts Desmond LLC,
Right.
or if he's changed the business name, changed personal names. Like I said, marriages are a common thing, or if
Hmm.
somebody's going by a nickname, William. Someone just files with my name as Will
Yeah.
and uses my social. That could be an issue.
Hmm. So just ensuring that you have the proper recipient or business information listed on hand, referring to past tax filings, past documentations, or just any employee documentations like W-9s, CP-57 letters, all that jazz. Just making sure that the information is correct. The sooner you know, the better, and the more streamlined this overall process will be for you and whoever you're filing for.
There's also a very helpful tool called TIN matching, which you can use to check the name and TIN
Mhm.
combinations with the IRS prior to filing.
Mhm.
You can enable that in a tax bandit's account, and that'll check the information for you based on what the IRS has in its records, and it'll let you know if there might be something off, or if it's verified and it's good to go.
Yeah, yeah. It won't tell you the exact error, but it will let you know that the name and slash or the 10 number used, there was some type of discrepancy. So it's important to know and like to reach out to the business or to the recipient to gain more clarity, just in
Mhm.
case you do end up in that position.
You can request the W-9 as well, just if you don't have it on file. And that's a
Exactly.
great way to make sure that you're getting the right information as well.
So true. So true.
At this time, we'll switch over to the Q&A. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them. Please let us know if anything. We're more than happy to answer.
Yes, we can't wait to see your questions and yeah, provide any more insight for you guys. Yes. This is exciting, like waiting for the questions. Oh, I wonder. Yes. Actually, well, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
What's your favorite extension form?
Um, Probably personal extension.
Yeah,
because I do take a while for my personal taxes.
the 4868. Good
Yeah.
choice. Good choice.
We did have a question coming about the 7004. Can this be filed through Tax Bandits?
I am so glad you asked because, of course, the 7004 form can be filed through Tax Bandits. And we do have a sister company called Express Extension where you can also file that extension form under. Yes.
Great question.
Yes.
Do you have an extension form you like?
My personal favorite is actually the 7004 form. Just like the list of all the forms that can be extended with that. And also, who doesn't love an extra 6 months to like file their forms to make sure that everything is squared away?
We did get a question about state extensions.
Yes. So with state tax extensions, so we on Express Extension, we do have some state tax extension. Feel free to check out that website at expressextension.com for a little bit more info regarding those specific tax extensions. Over with Tax Bandits, we are planning on expanding our state tax extensions capability in the future. So stay tuned. You guys will be automatically notified once Tax Bandits start providing more state extensions. Okay.
I think that's all the questions that are coming in now. If there's anything that hasn't been answered or anything that comes up later, feel free to reach out to us.
Yes.
You can visit our support line, call our support line, or send us an email. If you want to go ahead, you can also go ahead and get registered for the next webinar. This will be about how Protection Plus can help safeguard your organization. So this is Tax Bandits in partnership with Protection Plus and Tax 990.
Yes.
For our nonprofits, anybody who's filing for nonprofits, so that's like 990 N, 990 EZ, just 990 forms in general.
Yeah, so feel free to scan the QR code right here. We're going to give y'all like a few moments so you can scan it, learn more about this, and stay tuned for the next webinar, okay?
Even if you don't know if you're going to be available to attend, still go ahead and register because we can send you the information and you can even review these deadlines as they come up, or these webinars as they come up. When we have them, usually they're all of our social medias and channels and anywhere you can find videos.
Yes, so don't miss out. Go ahead and register and just be informed.
Yeah. Just a little minute in registering.
Hold on, let me get up my phone so I can scan this QR code. You know what? I'll do it after.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to Tax Bandits. You can reach out to us at 704-684-4751, or you can email us at support@taxbandits.com. We're here Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So we're local. Give us a call. Email us with any questions.
We have a live support team just waiting to help you. Feel free to ask us your questions. If we cannot answer your questions, we'll provide you the resources for that information.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you for joining.